Hello friends, in this video lecture series, today we will discuss CNC part programming. So, which are the learning outcomes? At the end of this session, students will able to understand part programming of CNC machines. What are the objectives? So, first objective to understand the dimension system in CNC part programming. Second, to understand the structure of CNC part program. So these are the contents which we are going to cover in this lecture: axis of motion, dimension system, definition of programming, program structure, and explanation of words. So first, axis of motion. In general, all motions have 6 degrees of freedom. In other words, motion can be resolved into 6 axes, namely 3 linear axes and 3 rotational axes. 3 linear axes कोणते? X, Y, Z, and 3 rotational axes A, B, and C axis. Dimension system. Dimension system have 2 types: incremental system and absolute system. First, incremental system. This type of control always uses as a reference to the preceding point in a sequence of points. The disadvantage of this system is that if an error occurs, it will be accumulated. Okay, for example, if you want to do machining, the reference point is always from preceding point, not always from origin point. बरोबर? म्हणजे काय आहे, if आपल्याला जर मशीनिंग करायचं आहे तर रेफरन्स पॉईंट जो आहे इज ऑलवेज फ्रॉम प्रेसिडिंग पॉईंट, नॉट ऑलवेज फ्रॉम ओरिजिन. म्हणजे प्रत्येक वेळी ओरिजिनल पॉईंट नसणार इथे. दिस टाइप ऑफ डायमेन्शन सिस्टम इज कॉल्ड ॲज अ इन्क्रिमेंटल सिस्टम. नेक्स्ट, ॲब्सोल्यूट सिस्टम. इन ॲब्सोल्यूट सिस्टम all references are made to the origin of the coordinate system. बरोबर? In absolute system, all references are made to the origin of the coordinate system. All commands of motion are defined by absolute coordinate referred to the origin. म्हणजे आता ह्याच्या फिगरमध्ये बघू शकतो, there is an absolute system where the reference is always made from the origin. प्रत्येक पॉईंट ओरिजिन करून आपण कन्सिडर केलेला आहे. नेक्स्ट, definition of programming. Numerical control programming is where all the machining data are compiled and where the data are translated into the language which can be understood by the control system of the machine tool. The machining data is as follows. First, machining sequence, classification of process, tool startup point, cutting depth, tool path, etc. Cutting conditions, spindle speed, feed rate, coolant, etc. Selection of cutting tools. Program structure. Now NC program consists of blocks, words, and addresses. आता as shown in figure, structure of CNC part program. First consists of block 1, block 2, and so on, block 30, block 31. In one block as shown in figure, again त्याच्यामध्ये ब्लॉकचा आपण 2 इथं बघतोय. इन ब्लॉक as shown in figure, it consists of sequence number, then followed by word 1, then again followed by word 2. आणि फॉर एक्झाम्पल त्याच्यामध्ये परत काय आहे, इट इज शोन ॲज N002 G01. Now first we will discuss block. Block is nothing but a command given to the control unit. Block is nothing but command given to the control unit, is called as a block. Word. A block is composed of one or more words. A word is composed of identification letter and series of numericals. For example, the command for the feed rate of 200 mm per minute is F200. बरोबर? फीड रेटसाठी आपण F सिम्बॉल वापरतोय आणि 200 mm per minute आहे, सो F200 वर्ड झाले. ॲड्रेस. द आयडेंटिफिकेशन लेटर ॲट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ इच वर्ड इज कॉल्ड ॲज ॲड्रेस. आपण जे आयडेंटिफिकेशन लेटर देणार आहे प्रत्येक वर्डच्या आधी, इच beginning of each word is called as address. The meaning of address is in accordance with EIA standards, EIA Electronic Industries Association. The most common addresses are listed in the next table. आपण बघूया कोणते addresses आहेत. फंक्शन आणि addresses बघू. आता sequence number साठी we are going to use n, preparatory function g, coordinate words x, y, z, parameter for circular interpolation I, j, k, feed rate, feed function f, spindle function s, tool function t, miscellaneous function m. Next, explanation of words. त्याच्यामध्ये first we will discuss sequence number. A sequence number is used to identify the block. Sequence number कशासाठी वापरतो आपण? कोणता ब्लॉक आहे त्याच्यासाठी. It is always placed at the beginning of the block and can be regarded as the name of the block. बरोबर. The sequence number need not to be consecutive. The execution sequence of the program is according to the actual sequence of the block and not the sequence of the number. In fact, some CNC systems do not require sequence number. Second, preparatory function G addresses. A preparatory function determines how the tool is to move to the program target. बरोबर, म्हणजे G addresses म्हणजे जी आपण काय म्हणतो आपल्याला a preparatory function determines how the tool is to move to the program target. आपण नंबर्स देणार G address. The most common G addresses are listed in the next slide. आपण बघू हे G code codes and their functions. समजा पहिला कोड आहे G00, point to point position at rapid feed. G01, linear interpolation. G02, circular interpolation clockwise, and G03, circular interpolation anti-clockwise. G40, cutter compensation. G41, cutter compensation left. G42, cutter compensation. G70, G79, milling and turning cycle. G80, G89, drilling and tapping cycle. G90 and G91, absolute and incremental dimensioning. Next, coordinate words x, y, z addresses. A coordinate word specify the target point of the tool movement, absolute dimension system, or the distance to be moved, incremental dimensions. The word is composed of the address of the axis to move and the value and the direction of the movement. For example, x100 and y200u, which represents the movement to 100 and in bracket 100 to 200. Whether the dimensions are absolute or incremental, we'll have to define previously using G90 or G91. म्हणजे G91 आणि G91 चे कोड जे काय आहेत ॲब्सोल्यूट आणि इन्क्रिमेंटल. बरोबर. मग त्याच्यानुसार x100 आणि y200 म्हणजे x डायरेक्शन 100 mm मध्ये असेल आणि y डायरेक्शनला 200. नेक्स्ट, now this is important. Steps for CNC programming and machining. The following is the procedure to be followed in CNC programming and machining. The most important point is to verify the program by test run it on the machine before the actual machining in order to ensure that the program is free of mistakes. So which are the steps? First, study the part drawing carefully. बरोबर. Second, unless the drawing dimensions are CNC adapted, select a suitable program 0 point on the workpiece. The tool will adjust it to this 0 point during the machine setup. बरोबर. म्हणजे थर्ड आहे तो डिटरमाइन द मशीनिंग ऑपरेशन्स अँड देअर सिक्वेन्स. कोणते ऑपरेशन आपल्याला पाहिजेत आणि त्याचा सिक्वेन्स आपल्याला कसा पाहिजे तो आपण आयडेंटिफाय केला पाहिजे. त्याच्यानंतर डिटरमाइन द मेथड ऑफ वर्क क्लॅम्पिंग. बरोबर. मग त्याच्यामध्ये व्हाईस असेल, रोटरी टेबल असेल किंवा फिक्चर असेल. परत सिलेक्ट कटिंग टूल्स अँड डिटरमाइन स्पिंडल स्पीड्स अँड फीड्स. म्हणजे आपल्याला परत टूल सिलेक्ट केलं पाहिजे. परत आपण स्पिंडल स्पीड आणि फीड्स आपण डिटरमाइन केलं पाहिजे. आपण विथ द हेल्प ऑफ कसं देणार, विथ द हेल्प ऑफ कोड्स आपण ते नंतर देणार. त्याच्यामध्ये राईट प्रोग्राम थ्रू. म्हणजे नेक्स्ट प्रोसिजर आहे ते राईट प्रोग्राम. म्हणजे त्याच्यामध्ये ट्रान्सलेट मशीनिंग स्टेप्स इन टू प्रोग्राम ब्लॉक्स. म्हणजे काय मशीनिंग ऑपरेशन होणार आहे ते आपण काय करणार आहे प्रोग्राममध्ये देणार. इफ solutions are possible, try the simplest solution first, and it is usually longer but better to proceed in this way. Prepare tool chart or diagram, measure tool geometry, geometry मध्ये लेंथ असेल, radius असेल किंवा आणि काहीतरी डायमेन्शन असतील, note it. Clamp workpiece and set up the machine. Enter compensation values if any necessary. Check the test program. It is a good practice to run the program without the workpiece, without the cutting tool, by raising the tool to the safe height. And if necessary, correct and edit the program and check again, and then start machining. Okay. Thank you. In next lecture we will take a program.